Good morning, Mr. Maddox.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm very good. All the better now I know this works.
Yeah, so am I. Trust me. I was on a bit of a meltdown this morning because I couldn't get connected, but I'm fine now. I need my little entourage of people to help me on PCs and things like that, as I know.
Good stuff. So thank you very much for joining us on the Joinery Hour this morning, Brian, to talk tooling and the benefits. So first of all, if you could just introduce yourself. I'm sure most people know who you are, but for those that don't, introduce yourself, what you do, and the company that you represent, please.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Brian Maddox. I'm the National Sales Manager for Lights Tooling, but also look after servicing side as well. Been with the company since 1978, and that was when I first joined the company. My father was actually had a building business, and I helped him since 8 years old. Digging trenches and building extensions and all sorts of things. When I left school, I joined a company in a drawing office, engineering, road maintenance equipment, so it was a bit diverse. But I got involved with the sales side of it because they needed a spares department, and that worked very well for me, running a small department at 18. And then I joined Lights, as I say, or Managers as it was then, back in 78. And when I joined the company, there was aspects of which machine I've never seen before, so I embarked on a 4-year City and Guilds apprenticeship to get advanced machining, which was really useful for me. And the rest of it is really, I've been involved with the company in all aspects. It's not just aspects of selling new tools, but also applications. It's also understanding the market and understanding what the market needs. We have developed that certainly throughout our sort of seminar programs, etc. And as you know, it also led on to really talking about joinery products and designing tools to make life a little bit easier for the small to medium-sized joinery companies. And that's where we kind of are now. And we've got a good network now to support it. And really, it's been quite exciting. And I think it's been really useful to say to certain companies, certain larger companies won't be interested, but we do need to support the joinery industry. And so that's where we are.
Excellent. And obviously, let's jump straight into tooling. We could literally, well, you certainly could talk about tooling all day, probably all week, but let's just jump in and talk about the top 3 benefits, in your opinion, Brian. And I do consider you massively an expert. You've been doing it a long time. You live and breathe it. So what are the top 3 benefits, in your opinion, of having the correct tooling solution for your business? And that doesn't matter whether you're manufacturing doors and windows or whether it be panels or KBB industry furniture, but the correct tooling solution provides companies massive benefits. So what are the top 3 for you?
Yeah, I'd love 1, 3, you should probably know that. It's just reduction in cost, really. I mean, people don't probably appreciate the fact is quite a lot of people do things twice, or they knife and fork it, pass it 2 or 3 times, and don't get it right first time. That's a very, very costly thing to do. And by the time you get it right, and then you make the final cut and get it wrong, and that's a very costly thing to do. Getting the right tools for the job means less downtime, less setting time, and it's all to do with coming back to sort of controlling the controllables. Tooling has so many aspects to it, and if you could say, for example, for timber products, reduce the sanding, it means you reduce the paint. We had this with the paint guy just recently, and it can get the product out much quicker out the door. And tooling is sometimes looked at a cost rather than investment. And if you get the right tool, it lasts longer, and you don't break the machine down so often, then you're going to benefit from that. And if you calculate those costs, that's where it really starts to make a difference to your business. And that's, there's many aspects to it, but that is the main thing, is to reduce costs. And it reduces the stress as well, because if you get it right first time, you get the product to the door quicker, clearly you make more profits, and it's just like the whole thing comes together. And it's not something we say lightly, we prove it time and time again. And I like to think from our point of view, we haven't done so bad as a company to show that to the market.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we first got involved, or I personally got involved with you guys, I knew very little about tooling. I've gone through a massive learning curve, and I can honestly say it blew my mind when I actually see it in practice, rather than just have someone talk about it and tell me how great it was. I've seen certain things as I've been traveling around different joinery shops, and it is, a huge difference that it makes. Even the noise, just the noise alone, that blew my mind compared to a competitor's tooling on the same moulder and then dropping your tool on. Even the noise was just blew my mind. But we could go on about it all day. But from I know you're very passionate, Brian, about the timber industry in general. So how do you see the future for the timber industry, timber manufacturers, specifically in door and windows?
Well, I'm quite, as you know, quite excited about it. I think there's a massive environmental opportunity here. When you think about the implication of timber products in joinery, and the focus, from many years ago, we kind of lost the business to the PVC window and aluminium, etc. But now we can produce very high quality timber windows, which can't be so bad. The fact is that the substrates are growing, and we're breathing in while it's growing. I keep saying is make the squirrels happy, make the environment look nicer. But that's really the key factor behind it. And I think that we owe it to our kids. I think we owe it to everybody to push this and make Joe Public aware what they could be purchasing. And if we can manufacture timber windows much more efficiently, and we could reduce 16 sections and frames in a day, then we can reduce the costs. The substrate cost is small compared to all the glass and the hardware, it's only a small percentage. So if we can get that out in the market, we can get Joe Public looking at it and open and close the quality door, they will see the benefits of it. And if they knew the message that it's also going to help everybody live on this planet a little bit longer, I think that's going to be something interesting. And I'd love to get that message out, because it's true, it's simple as that. But we are seeing markets going that way more. So I was talking to a guy from Japan the other day, and I was over in Festival, and they are looking to add timber products to aluminium, where it's all just aluminium, So that's got to be something. It's got to be good for the environment.
Yeah, I think the government directive, lots of directives are going down the sustainable route, the timber route. We've got a long way to go before we outdo the plastic market, but it's the way it's heading, and I'm also very excited for the future of timber. I think there's huge opportunity. What is now a very small sort of still cottage industry, in reality, I think the opportunity is massive. Which excites me.
The other thing as well, thinking about it as well, we know is talking to people like English Woodlands and people like that. People are talking to us now about what we should grow in the UK, And Owen Dare's got a lot of experience and knowledge in this side of it. And there's so many things we can do in the UK. We can grow in the UK, products we can go, timbers we can grow in the UK to help sustain this market as well. So it will add value that way as well. It's all good news. We just need to get the story out there, more so to Joe Public. And I'm looking forward to the day that I actually go to a B&Q or home base and see a timber window in the reception.
Absolutely.
Once that happens, I think we've got it.
Yeah, 100%. So, in regards to the markets that you supply into, I know you do a lot of tooling into sort of panel manufacturing and door and windows. Obviously, there must be similar. I'm guessing there's similar issues because they're manufacturing in whatever market you're supplying into. Would that be
100%? There's nothing. We see companies of every description, as you know, we try not to get involved in steel, but if it's from furniture, kitchen bedrooms, if it's from a sawmill, or if it's ceiling tiles or thermal materials, they always have issues on quality. They have issues on dust. They have issues on. You mentioned about noise. Noise is vibration, and vibration is basically killing the machines and motors. As simple as that. And then suddenly they've got to replace those motors, and the implication of that is horrendous. And I hear about it every single day. And issues like balance is 100%. You talk about quieter tools. That means that the tools will run longer. The machines will last longer. There will be less maintenance. And if you've got a CNC and the machine goes down, you've only got one CNC, your business is really in trouble. And we see this unbalanced tools and unbalanced chucks and going on machines all day long, and it happens constantly. And as we get this message out further, companies are now seeing they can control the tools, and controlling controllables is the most important part of your business. and you can do something about it. And it's not necessarily a massive investment. It's just what you do. And also running to blunt, they all do it. Most people don't realise that it's killing the motors, it's increasing the power. For every 0.3 of a millimetre, you put another kilowatt per hour, you're paying for that unnecessarily.
Sure. Yeah, there's so much to it, and they all have all these little things can end up being one massive thing that has a huge impact on the business. So talking about impact on a business, give us a quick example of what you consider your biggest win, the biggest impact you've made in respect of changing a business's life, really, simply with the correct tooling solution. Give us one little golden nugget.
One golden nugget. Well, there's a lot of golden nuggets. Yeah, keep it. Oh, well, you're gonna push me there. I think if I advise a company to do something, it's just not run to blunt. You know, that would be the simplest one, because a lot of people just overrun tools, burn the tools out, and everything's screaming, and then they end up rectifying the tools or damaging the tools or sanding the product unnecessarily. That's probably the one thing that I would say more than anything else. But that's quite critical, and that goes to any tooling company or any supplier you've got at the moment.
Any manufacturer, yeah. But what about, obviously, that's a golden nugget. Do not run to blunt. But what about a actual example of a company that if you walked into, they were doing X and you've changed them to Y, and what difference has that made to that business? You don't have to name the business.
It's just less stress and making profit for the first time, you know. And the thing about people, there's a lot of skill issues out there, and we're not taking away skills. We want to encourage more of that. But you can't necessarily make money by doing many passes with a skilled operator. You know, you need to make a product that's simple, it's easy. It's still got the flexibility. For example, we can change with a thickness of materials, or we can change the profile, marble, limestone, bevel. That's not the issue. But the thing about it at the end of the day is you're producing a product, and you've got to keep it simple, and you get it out the door as quickly as you can. And most of the customers are not worried about what the rebate size is. You know, they just want a product that works and it's good. And that's the impact we have. And we've seen it with the people in the joinery network. They're making money for the first time. Oh, I say not for the first time necessarily, but they're making more money, making nice. It's a lot easier to produce products, and it's less stressful. And then they can spend more time on the more complicated stuff with the skilled operators if they've got them.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously your golden nugget is don't run to blunt. What's the most, I guess it might be the same answer, but the other way around. What's the most common mistake that you see? Well, let's change that. You can't say run to blunt. What's the most common mistake that you see that is so easily rectified?
Well, as I say, getting the right tool for the right application quite often. This is again, people don't run the tools to the right speeds, the feeds and speeds, etc. They tend to slow things up, and they overcook the tool, and then things wear out much quicker than they need to. So you kind of need advice on the best way to run the tools. And sometimes the parameters of the machine don't allow you to run to what you think you should run at. So it's well worth speaking to your tooling supplier to make sure that you are working the tool correctly to what it actually should do. And we can work at any feed and any speed. There's no limit to what we can do, but can you actually do that with that machine? Can you do it with the power? Can you do it with the feed? Can you do it with the clamping, or whatever it may be? So people that do invest in machinery, it wouldn't be a bad thing for them as well, is to talk to the tooling suppliers to find out, are the tools going to work as they wish them to? And sometimes it may not be because of the price or whatever, maybe, but at least they know where they are. And if they can reduce anything you can reduce in the factory, a process you can reduce, and rectification you can reduce, or a little bit more sanding or a little bit less filling, has massive implications. We've had customers here that just come up just to understand about feeds and speeds and making sure things work correctly, not run to blunt, and that has a massive impact on rectification costs in their factory and wasting materials, which is unnecessary, and that also has an implication on the environment.
So that's even with current tooling solutions that they may have, just by looking at those things, feeds and speeds, and not running to blunt, and taking that sort of simple advice, can already make that huge impact, let alone go into the right tooling solution. So,
and then tool management as well. People don't always know how many times things need to be sharpened, and they run out on a Friday night, and then they suddenly realise they've got enough tools in the system, and they've got to get it out on the Saturday morning. Now, that also is, for us, is very important for the customers to control what they've got. And also going back to the point of maintenance, you know, we've seen tools to run 3, 4, 5 years without a knife change. You know, they need to be cleaned now and then. The knives need to be changed. You know, you just can't run forever. So maintaining tools as well in cutter head solutions particularly is important to keep those clean, because people don't realise that even the aspects of the wear aspects can come from the actual material sometimes, and the sap, etc., can actually destroy the carbide, and people don't appreciate that. It's actually eating away because it's not clean. So just cleaning tools can make a difference.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Brian. It's good insight into tooling and all the implications. Obviously, you're about for everybody to jump all over and ask you more golden nuggets. But for now, thank you very much. We'll go back to the floor.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Luke. Cheers.
Cheers, Brian.